Okay, we are recording. So tonight, I want to talk a little bit about stories. So how many times have you guys ever heard somebody say facts tell, but stories sell? Have you guys ever heard that before? Right. So I feel like I hear that a lot more since I have been in Beachbody, but only because telling your story is such an integral part of, building your business and getting your message out there and that sort of thing. So maybe that's why, because I never really had any reason to hear it before. But either way, it's very true. Humans, if you think about it, we humans are very emotion driven. So somebody can give you like a full page of facts and it's not going to be nearly as compelling as hearing those facts presented in such a way that it appeals to your emotional side. You know what I mean? We humans are sort of like, we sort of act on that much more so than just cold hard facts. So I want you to think about a story, a well-crafted story, as fact wrapped in emotion. So kind of keep that visual in your mind as we're going through all this. So there with a story, a good, well-crafted story has 4 elements. Who you are and where you've been, what happened to cause you to look for something more, how you heard of Beachbody and why you felt like you just had to be a part of it, and what it's doing and or what it's going to do for you. So we speak, in positives all the time. So even if something hasn't happened yet, we have that still like, this will do X for me because, we're a positivity driven sort of company and team and everything. So you want the story though to be, you don't want it to be this big, long drug out thing, like 45 seconds to a minute, just long enough to catch somebody's attention. So as you're thinking about that, like I was thinking about, and you need to like figure out how to put it in such a way that it appeals to your audience, just depending on who your audience is. You know what I mean? You can't just tell the same story over and over and expect that all kinds of different people are going to want to hear it. You know what I mean? To join the team and that sort of thing. You sort of have to like pattern it into, I'm sorry, my brain is so tired. You have to like pattern it in such a way that it's going to appeal to whatever that person's thing is. So like if you're a mom, you're going to want to emphasize like how it lets you be healthier for your kids. If you're a busy professional, you're going to want to pattern it more toward, okay, Stacey, that's cool. You're going to want to pattern it more toward like, how these programs help you, have helped you get a good workout in a short amount of time. I mean, it's taking all these elements and then figuring out a way to spin them in such a way that it appeals to whatever that person's thing is. So, like as you're going through, like, all right, let me tell you guys a story. I've been working on a story since I am, and this is not public knowledge, so don't, just let it out there yet, but I'm planning on leaving my job at the end of the month and doing this full time once we get into June. I know, right? So it's so exciting and I can't wait. And, so I've been working kind of on what my new story is going to be, because up until now it's been, that, this was a way for me to deal with the pain of, infertility and, having an outlet for all of the emotion that's involved with that. So now, you talk about who you are and where you've been. One of the biggest things that was driving me to get out of the job that I'm in is that my coworkers are a bunch of assholes. And that's just, the bottom line. So, but I don't want to say that to someone when I'm trying to be like, hey, join my Beachbody team because I did it because my coworkers were assholes. You don't want to do that. That's in there. I mean, some people will do that, but that's not really our culture. So, who you are and where you've been. Like, hey, I'm just a small town girl from West Virginia. I was working in a law office and, my coworkers were pretty mean. And the final straw for me was when I got a very devastating piece of news and I was crying and upset, and I overheard one of my awful coworkers saying that I deserved to be crying because I was so damn happy all the time and nobody could be that happy. So that was the fuel for my fire. And, you know, Beachbody came along. It gave me a community of positive people that were uplifting and wonderful, and it gave me a means to provide for my family that didn't have me depending on corporate America. And so, you know, I'm working to build a business that's going to give me a life of freedom where I don't have to work with awful people every day, and I don't have to depend on corporate America for a paycheck, and I'm going to be able to go and spend time with the people that I love rather than being chained to a desk all day. So like that was really quick, but it incorporates all the elements of my story into that short little blurb and pulls people in. And obviously, I mean, that was just off the top of my head. So you're going to take this, whatever your story is, and I encourage you to write down these 4 elements and then literally go through and write down who you are and where you've been, and then what happened to cause you to look for something more. Like, write those things out, and then you'll be able to sort of trim the fluff as you go through, because you don't want to just drone on and on and on to someone when you're trying to get to know them. You know, you just want to give them quick, hard-hitting, something that is going to reach out and grab their emotion. So, like, I know when I shared that about my horrible coworker saying that I deserve to cry because I'm so happy all the time and no one's ever that happy. And I was feeling really emotional, and I put up a post about it, and I got so much traction from people because people related to that human element, and they were like, oh my God, that's awful, and I bet you were so upset, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sobbing at my desk, you know. And so people relate to that much more so than me just going in there and saying, oh, you know, I have a crappy desk job and I hate my job and everybody else in America hates their job, so you should be on my team so that we can escape our crappy jobs together. You know, you see the difference there? And like, just taking that one little tiny element and putting it out there in such a way that somebody is going to go, oh God, that is really awful. But you're going to be able to escape that because you're working on this business, and this business gives you financial freedom and gives you this and that, you know, all of that from a 45-second story. So I really encourage you to take all these elements and write them out one by one, and then write out the pieces of your story that fit, and then write it all together so that, and not necessarily write, you can type or whatever. I don't mean literally write, but, and then type it all out together in one paragraph. See how it flows, see what you can tweak, you know, and just sort of ingrain it in yourself so that it becomes more and more natural when you share it with people, because that is really what's going to draw people in, is this emotion, this appeal to emotion. And they're going to want to say, you know, or they're going to want to see how it relates to them. And if there's something that they, you know, even if they haven't necessarily been harassed by a coworker, probably at some point somebody's made them feel really crappy and they've wanted to escape that and find a community of support. So anyways, yeah, just draw them into your life, you know, give them something to relate to, give them something to think about. Okay, and as far as stuff that you should maybe leave out, because we can't talk about, you know, crafting a good story without sort of talking about the things that we maybe might think be a good idea to include, but not necessarily. So you heard me say a little bit about extra fluff. If you're having trouble with that, because the thing with extra fluff is, like, we love our stories. We're attached to them because they're us. You know, they're what's made us who we are. And so we have this great emotional attachment to this story that we're telling. And so it's hard to be objective and look at it and say, okay, I, you know, maybe don't need to mention this or that. So once you get it all down, and once you get it, you know, sort of maybe like perfected to the point where you think, okay, this is really good, let someone else take a look at it, whether it's me as your upline, whether it's one of your fellow coaches on the team, whether it's a success partner. Success partners are really important too, guys. We're going to have a team call about that at some point. I'm going to maybe have my success partner come on and talk to us because she's amazing. But they're, you know, just somebody that you trust and somebody that's familiar with the business, that you can, you know, say, here's my thing, and they don't have to be like brutal about it, but just somebody that you trust enough to look at it and say, okay, well, that's really good, but maybe you could, you know, cut this part out, or, you know, change the wording of this a little bit, that sort of thing. Okay, the second thing that you should leave out are behaviors, any kind of behaviors that you wouldn't want your potential prospect to do. So, like things like saying, oh man, as soon as I heard about the company, I researched everything I could get my hands on for like 3 weeks. Okay, no, don't say that. Like, it's fine if you did. That's totally okay, because I get it. I'm a researcher too. But you don't want to tell people that, because then what are they going to do? They're going to go and research it for like 3 weeks and hem and haw around about making a decision. And, oh, maybe I'll join. And, oh, maybe I won't join. I want to kind of look some other stuff up. Like, no. So don't even put that suggestion in their brain that they should really take a lot of time and think about it for as long as they possibly can and look up it. Just asking questions, getting to the heart of what they want, and being relatable, but not being like, yes, and I also did this, or, oh man, I used the products for like 5 years and then I finally decided I should join the company. Oh my God, no, don't do that either. Because you really don't want people to do that, do you? Like, oh, hey, yeah, customer, just go ahead and like wait 5 years before you decide to join my team. I would die. I would just totally die. I'd be like, oh, okay. I mean, that's great if they do eventually come on, but especially when you're starting to build your own team, you don't want to like put the idea in their head that maybe they should wait 5 years and then maybe join the team. You don't have to like be pushy about it, but just maybe don't even mention that part. Just talk about your experience with the company, why it's been great, all the reasons that they think it's great, and leave it at that. Okay, a third thing to leave out, and this is a really tough one and something that I see coaches across the board doing when they are really new and honing their story in: product testimonials. And I know that we are a product of the product, but if the very first thing that you mention to someone is, oh, hey, so-and-so, guess what? I've been drinking Shakeology and it's just been doing amazing things. They're going to stop listening as soon as they hear, because it comes off as salesy. And they're thinking, oh, well, this person's just talking to me because they want me to buy their really expensive protein shake. And that's it. And then you've pretty much, cut off. I mean, they might stand there and smile and nod at you or whatever, but, products, I mean, you can talk about the great things in general that products have done for your life, but I wouldn't ever specifically at first mention that sort of thing. Like if somebody asks you about it, like, hey, I saw that you've been posting about this, protein shake called Shakeology. What's that about? Then yeah, by all means, like talk about it and talk about what it's done for you. But just using that as your in on someone, like, hey, guess what? I've been drinking this awesome shake and doing these workout DVDs and you should really try it. They're not gonna, that just totally removes the human element and makes it like you're literally just trying to push a sale on them. So definitely. And if you want to talk about it in terms of like, I was stuck in this dead end job and I was just so miserable, or whatever your story is. And like, I found this amazing company and I started doing the workouts. I started, following this really simple meal plan and these really great shakes, that were nutritionally complete. And like, I got this amazing body transformation and my confidence went up so much. And I was like making all these friends and everyone was so supportive. So see how it kind of like, you can touch on the products without just blaring it in somebody's face and making it like it's all about that. It's a peripheral thing. You can peripherally talk about the products, but don't make it the main focus of your conversation, especially when you're initially starting in and trying to grab somebody's emotional attention with your story. Because there's nothing emotional about a bag of Shakeology other than when you run out and you want to cry a little bit. So, and number 4, the fourth thing to leave out, non-quantified endings. So you want to kind of wrap your story up with, like we said, what the business is doing for you and or what it's going to do for you. So you want to be able to show growth and, you know, show how it's changing your life in a positive way. So when you're initially a new coach, you know, you're not going to be able to say, oh, and I have, you know, I just added like 5 new team members and I'm just now as a coach getting to the point where I get to shout you guys out for doing awesome things. Like I've been almost a year in the making. Next month will be a year that I've been doing this. And just now, you know, in the last couple of months, because we've got some momentum that's like freaking amazing and just keeps on building. But, you know, so it was more about at the beginning, like what it was doing for me personally. And you know, some people will share their exact numbers. I haven't been bold enough to do that yet. And I don't really think that you should initially, because I think that would be off-putting to people. Don't you guys kind of think so? You know, to say, oh, hey, I made, you know, $70 last week off of so-and-so's challenge pack. You're just going to sound like an a-hole if you do that, you know. But, you know, if you're able to show growth of some sort, whether it's personal growth in being able to, you know, hold a plank or finish a workout or do one more push-up or something like that, you know, start with something like that, something that is quantifiable, something that previously you were here and now you're here and this is how the company helped you get there. You know, this is how the being a part of this has helped you reach that next level. And then as you go along and as you start, you know, growing a team and growing your income, then you can focus more on those things. So, you know, and just do that to your comfort level. Like I said, some people are fine with sharing their income. I'm still pretty far away from that. I'll be quite honest, but I love to shout you guys out for all of your accomplishments. So, you know, and that's a way to be able to share your story and say, you know, and not only is it doing this for me, but look what it's doing for the people on my team. And you should really be a part of this, you know, because if you can show that not only have you changed your life, but you've been a part of all these other people helping to change their lives, and then all these people are helping to change other people's lives. I mean, think about that ripple effect and how amazing that is to people when they see that. You know, that's tangible, that's real, it's quantifiable. So, yeah, don't leave out the quantifiable things, because it's a very, very important part of showing. People want to see progress. They want to see that, you know, it is the real deal and that you are, you know, walking the walk and talking the talk as well. Something definitely to keep in mind is that your story will evolve as you learn and grow. You know, elements of your story, I mean, it's like a grant report. Oh, the quantifiable ending. Yeah, I can only imagine. So your story will evolve as you're going along, because, you know, if you think even like a year ago from where you are now, you're not the same person that you were a year ago. So as you grow and change, you know, maybe not like your original story, but parts of your story and what your motivation is and your victories and that sort of thing and your struggles, it'll evolve, and that's okay. You don't have to get stuck on like just this is my story. To like be open to that, and you know, be open to reaching out to. You can reach out to me as your upline, your success partner, or whatever, and say, you know, hey, I've had a little trouble, you know, getting this into correct words, you know, that sound right coming out of my mouth, and or whatever. That's what the whole team is here for. That's what this whole community is here for, is to help. So if you find that, you know, you've evolved some and you want to try to share some part of that, but you're not really sure how, just get it out and then, you know, get it to somebody that you trust and will help you. Because the fact that our stories evolve is one of the most beautiful parts, I think, of this business too. The fact that we don't stay the same. We learn and grow all the time, and we're always adding new things to it. And that's going to really reach people as well. You know, I can't wait till I get to the point where I can have Facebook memories, because I just started my profile when I started coaching. So, here in a few months when I can look back for a year from now and be like, oh my God, I was such a dork, but see the amount of growth and stuff that has happened over the year. That's going to be really powerful. So definitely be open to having your story evolve and change as you grow and change, because it's one really cool aspect of our business, I think, not just the physical either, the inner stuff too. So along with that, make sure to adapt your story for your audience as you're going along. So, when you first start, you sort of, maybe you don't have any idea who you're going to help. When I first started, I was like, I will help anyone that wants me to help them. and I didn't really have any clue. And and that's okay. I mean, that's our team culture. That's part of our mission statement, that we'll help. We're team, no judgment. We don't judge anybody. We will literally help anybody that wants our help, right? That's who we are. But we all have certain things that we sort of speak to and that are our things and that are going to attract our particular tribe to us, the people that need our help. So like Kayla's a busy mom, so she's going to naturally attract like other busy moms because that's what she's got going on. Stacey, you and I are busy professionals. We're chained to a desk a lot of hours a day, and we need to figure out a way to fit it all in. So those are kind of the people, that I know for me, that's what I attract, is like people that work full time and have kids and I don't have kids, but they need that extra guidance as far as organization, because organization and time management is one of my things. So I speak to that, so, Tracy's got all of her dog people, and she's like, hey, you need to have a strong core and muscles and stuff to be able to take care of these dog bites. Call me up. Let's talk about it. So everybody's got their thing. So you sort of adapt your story for your audience, and it can change, because like when I first came in, I thought, I'm a woman that's been dealing with the struggles of infertility for like 7 years. So that's who my target market's going to be. And that's not. It's not. And I had a hard time letting go of that at first, but it just didn't work out that way. And it's actually worked out a lot better because, I sort of surrendered control of that to the universe or whatever, and just said, okay, let's do this. So, adapting it for your audience and not being too freaked out by how it evolves and how you evolve, and just sort of, working all that evolutionary change in, and being okay with maybe your initial idea not working out the way that you thought at first, because it's actually worked out way, way better than what I thought, personally, for me. And I know that'll happen for you guys too. And one last thing, build a library of stories. So as you figure out what your different things are, what your fortes are, what your interests are, and stuff like that, you can tailor the heart of what you are to those elements. Does that make sense? I feel like that didn't come out. It sounded way better in my head than when it just came out. But, I love my dog so much, and I'm always constantly posting about being a dog mom and whatever. And so he factors into my fitness and that sort of thing. But then I also, can talk about how he really filled a hole in my heart, because I got him right after we had found out that the day I picked him up was a day that we had found out that a procedure had failed, and I had started my period in the doctor's office, and they made me take a pregnancy test anyway. And I was like, F this, for real. And it was the worst day. And then I went and picked up my puppy, and he, filled such a hole in my heart, because he's like my baby. And also, my heart was filled by this business and the people that I've met, and I'm just so blessed to have, so you build this library of stories, and you sort of intertwine all those elements of, those first elements of who you are and where you've been and what happened to cause you to look for more and that sort of thing. And then figure out different ways of telling it based on these subject areas that are important to you. And that'll make for a successful story. So a well-crafted story, like I said, is fact wrapped in emotion. Humans are going to definitely respond way more to a heartfelt, even if, it doesn't exactly come out the exact way that you want it to sound, the fact that you're being heartfelt and sharing your heart is going to be way more appealing to people than if you perfected it and it sounded like a robot. So anyway, does anybody have any questions or anything they would like to add to the discussion? Floor's open. No questions? Man, I must have covered that subject like really, really good. And we're only, what, 28 minutes in? Not bad, guys. I hope the audio is not too jacked up. Has it been really bad throughout? Ugh, well, that should make for some interesting YouTube fodder. Oh, well. Okay, gals, so I have some extra little things that sort of expand on this that I'm going to post in the group later this week. Let me see. Oh, shout out to Stacy for getting the first month success starter. Woo! Raising the roof, girl. Dude, my brain's not working either. I just can't even. We have literally had something every night this week, and the introvert in me is freaking out. I can't wait for like Friday so that I can just sit at home and not have to talk to anybody. Isn't that awful? But it happens sometimes. You just have to have that decompression time, so it is what it is. That's part of my story. I'm owning it, so whatever. All right, so yeah, I have some extra resources and that sort of thing that I'll post in the group. And if you guys have any questions, you just let me know in the meantime. All right, thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.